It's cold and I'm Australian. How cold is it? It's 20 degrees Celsius. Hello. So I was meant to see Dear Evan Hansen in London like yesterday, and I was meant to see Hamilton a few days prior, also in London. It hasn't happened. Coronavirus sucks, am I right? It cancelled my honeymoon. It cancelled my wedding plans. It killed hundreds of thousands of people. There's this like strange dichotomy of misfortune where it's like it's a tragedy that like tens of thousands of people are dying, and then it also sucks that like I didn't get to go on a holiday to Europe. I think it's perfectly reasonable that these two things can coexist, and you can feel bad about both of them. Something worse does not like cancel out something smaller. This isn't a pity party. It's not like I'm somehow special. Like I don't wake up and be like, I'm not in London. It did take a while to emotionally adjust to that. Like we should all just be honest with our emotions and just admit that, you know, we had expectations and they didn't plan out, and it's okay to feel bad about that. There's a name for this type of logical fallacy, and I don't know what it is, but I call it like the starving kids in Africa fallacy. Like, remember when you were like, I don't want to eat broccoli, it tastes bad. And your mum was like, well, there are starving kids in Africa who have it much worse than you, so you should just appreciate that I'm giving you this food that you don't like and just eat it. And it's like, well, because if you start turning like bad things into a competition, you will never win. Because you know, you're not in one of those intergenerational torture prisons in North Korea. Or you're probably not working for Donald Trump. That would be unbelievably horrible. If you had a soul, that is. Mitch McConnell is not a real person. He's just sort of like a Muppet infused with some sort of dark gem. Anyway, we're all just kind of going through this like weird collective grief. We're all like, oh, and that's okay. We just gotta just accept. I mean, it's not okay that it's happening, but it's okay to feel bad about small things. Small things. You have to consider problems contextually, not comparatively. You know what I mean? It's okay to be like, it sucks that I can't hang out with my friends. It's okay to be sad about that. I just wanting you to validate your emotions for that. This was turning into a weird self-help thing. I sat down and was just like, I should be in London, that sucks. I did actually hang out with some friends because legally WA allowed small gatherings finally, and so I was like, I'm gonna have a picnic with just 2 people and we're gonna be like socially distanced and we're just gonna have a chat and it's gonna be nice. It's weird adapting to extraordinary circumstances because, you know, a few months back, which feels like 5 years ago, I was just like, it'll be fine. Our honeymoon to France can continue because, you know, that'll be months away. Europe will have it all locked down by then, and then I had to just like drastically change all my wedding plans and get married in a backyard with none of the bridal party and not even half of my family present. I'm still very glad and very happy that I got married, but it was also like, at the time, you would like wake up, you'd turn on the news and you're like, what fresh horror is this? What new thing is happening? How is my life being changed? What are the rules now that are changing? What can and can I do? And then eventually like it leveled out as like, okay, this is just strict. This is what we're doing. We're all decided no. No more. None of that. That thing? No. Cancel it. Being over there? Not allowed anymore. Literally, WA locked down the state into multiple different regions, and I was like, oh, well, I can't go to Bustleton then. I can't drive for more than an hour and a half in any direction, probably, before it just gets either like I've gone too far or I'm in the ocean now. And it was like this constant like stress just to be like, oh no, like everything's changing. And then eventually everything just sort of was bad. But it was a consistent level. And then when everything got like a consistent level of real messed up, then I just kind of, it was just easier to get used to emotionally. Okay, so I had to go through the different stages of like grief, of like bargaining and denial, that like, oh, my honeymoon might still be able to happen, and then being like, oh, it's probably not going to happen till like, it's definitely not happening, and then it's like, oh, we have to like drag ourselves emotionally into Flight Center and be like, what are our options for cancelling? And now it's like, well, it sucks, but the only thing that really gets me down is those phone reminders that are like, hey, you should be doing this cool thing right now, and I'm not. It's just weird being like, oh, this is not fine, but I'm just gonna used to feel so anxious like going outside at the start because I was like, everything is dangerous. And now I'm like, I got hand sanitizer and then it's like, okay, sweet, I can touch surfaces again. It's fine. I'll just carry on. I just won't go near people. I just won't go outside very often. Part of anxiety comes from uncertainty. And now that I'm certain that like we have reached the maximum level of lockdown and it's all uphill from here, well, I'm just sort of getting used to being inside all the time. I'm starting a post-pandemic plan and it's full of just fun things that I'm gonna do when it's okay to go outside again and tongue kiss all of our friends and be like, blah, 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 blah. This is fine, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, like when that finally happens. And some restrictions in Australia have started to be pulled back just a little bit with like reviews in place to see like, oh, what stage should we do? Should we hold back, etc. And so some of the things on my list are now possible. I am legally allowed to have picnics again. I never thought that I would have the chance to have an illegal picnic, but there we go. It doesn't feel like I should do these things on my list yet. It's just not right, because it's not over yet. Some restrictions are over and there's a little bit more leeway, but it's not over, and now I'm just stuck at this eternal limbo of like, you know what I mean? Just this timeless, amorphous blob of like, well, I guess this is it now, for now. Wonder So long as like things don't get like drastically worse and randomly change, I'm just like stable in my little timeless blob of I don't know what day it is, I don't know what's happening. Same thing as yesterday though. I'm emotionally coping by photoshopping myself into fake travel photos for fun. That's how I'm doing. How are you doing? How are you coping through this? What was something that you were looking forward to? What were your plans for 2020 until they all got ruined? Are you doing okay emotionally? I imagine like the answers are gonna vary by country because like I'm in Western Australia, Australia has done actually pretty well in containing and flattening the curve for coronavirus. For now, what will the future hold? For me, I'm like, yeah, I'm in a consistent, stable bubble of, well, this is as bad as it's gonna be, probably. Whereas, I guess, other people in other countries are like, oh no. Maybe a lot of people are still in the earlier stages of, oh no, what's gonna happen next? Tell me where you live. Goodbye, YouTube.